episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Y'all, I am not gonna lie. I did back-to-back conferences. And I'm telling you, I was tired. That's the only way to put it. I'm tired. So first up, we had NCSL, which were the state legislators, and it was an Act Blue sponsored event. I had my colleagues come in. They came in from out of town, so I wanted to show them a good time in Indianapolis. But then I remembered they were all under 30. I'm not. And they wanted to hang out a little longer on some nights, and I could actually hang, but that was all right. We had a good time. They said they had a good time. So that was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of last week. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday was IDEA, Kick Up Your Heels, and all the events that happened in French Lick. That was always a good time, because whenever you can get together with your fellow Democrats and continue to elevate each other and help each other and train each other and do all the things that just encourage each other in this red state, you know, because it's not easy being the blue dot in a red state or being a Democrat in a red state. And then after that, this week, I ended up hanging out with Nicole at the AIM conference. But I love going to the AIM conference because this is where I get to meet some bipartisan folks. Like I remember I told y'all, like, there are a couple of Republicans I like. I know, right? It's crazy. But they're usually clerk treasurers, and they're usually women. And clerk treasurers just want to get the job done. They just want to make sure that their towns and communities are well taken care of. And some of the women that are doing the job are some of the smartest women. They just happen to be Republicans because where they live now. You know, I can't ever say that I'm going to vote for a Republican because that will never happen. But I'm learning as I continue to mature that when you're at that local level, sometimes those partisan races aren't as partisan as we would like to think they are. So it's been a long week and I'm a little tired, but we got great guests tonight and I'm excited about talking to the two ladies tonight that are on the show. I think you guys will like them. But first, let's talk about what's happening in the news. The Indianapolis Star reports Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch says she wants to eliminate the individual income tax by the end of her first term if she's elected governor. It's a familiar refrain among the halls of the State House lately. Senate Republican leaders have said they are interested in doing this eventually. In a budget deal, they struck speed up income tax cuts down from 2.9% by 2027. But Crouch's goal would significantly quicken the pace with the idea of keeping more money in Hoosiers' pockets and attracting more workers to live in the state. Still, it's the second largest source of tax revenue for the state, bringing in roughly $7.5 billion to $8 billion each year. These taxes help fund schools, infrastructure, public safety, clean air. Experts, because maybe she's not one, experts say cutting such a revenue source requires either shifting the tax burden elsewhere or cutting government services. Now, see, I mean, I think it's wonderful that there are people that want to put more tax dollars in my pocket. I'm not mad at that. But you know what I would be really mad at? Is if we continue to produce another generation of humans who could not read, or they didn't have a quality education because we wouldn't fund public education properly, or that our infrastructure starts to crumble because we haven't brought in enough revenue. What are you going to do? Make every road in our cities and towns be toll roads? Because if you cut money one place, you got to get it from someplace else, because these things still have to be taken care of. So I'm not sure where they think they're going to get this money from after they cut it out. Don't get me wrong. I would love to keep more money, but I also would like to have great infrastructure, great schools, and clean air. How about clean air? WTHR reports the fight over boosting teacher pay in Indiana continues. The average teacher salary is now ranked 39th in the United States by the National Education Association. While many educators feel the starting pay has improved, there is still one problem. As teachers continue their career, wages become very stagnant very quickly, said Keith Gamble, president of the Indiana State Teachers Association. Gamble said that that can be difficult to attract and retain teachers. According to a 2021-2022 state teacher compensation report by the Education Employment Relations Board, the lowest teacher salary reported was $35,000. The highest is $105,000, and the average teacher salary is nearly $57,000. Teachers in Wayne Township make the most, with an average salary of $67,000. The lowest is Frontier School Corporation in White County. During that time, teachers reportedly made just below $39,000. Goodness gracious, how can people live on that? Today, according to the Frontier School Corporation superintendent, teachers now make an average of $43,000. See, guys, again, we're talking about, I want some more money in my pocket too. I'm not gonna lie, I would love to have more money in my pocket. But the things that I'm paying for with my tax dollars are making sure that I have an educated society. It's to make sure that we are preparing our young people for the future. But you guys are talking about, well, we don't want to have any income tax, but we want to raise salaries, but not really. Guys, it's already hard enough with you guys passing legislation to limit reproductive care. Our infrastructure is ranked low. The air quality in Indiana is ranked low. And you guys are doing everything you can to make public education very difficult. One of the things that go into the quality of life is whether or not a person can give their child a quality education. Have you thought about that any? Have you thought about when you're talking about you want to bring people in and retain workers and we are the state that works where they're going to send their kids? And you can, and look, I get your voucher program, but what about those that can't make up the gap between the tuition of the private school or the charter school and how much you're giving them on the voucher? What happens to those kids when you don't have enough teachers? There's already a huge, huge teacher shortage. Do y'all not understand this? No, maybe not. Or maybe they don't care. Maybe the whole goal is to just drown teachers in debt and make it impossible to retain quality teachers. But not just that. We want to tack books and ban books because, we're smart like that. But finally, Hamilton Southeastern has come to their senses, maybe. Also, WTHR reports the Hamilton East Public Library and outgoing board president Laura Alderman have both received international attention for a policy of reviewing young adult books and moving many to the adult section. Indianapolis author John Green spoke out after his young adult novel, The Fault in Our Stars, was removed from the teen section. The Hamilton East Public Library Board and trustees meeting will meet Thursday afternoon to discuss the issue. That was today. They moved it from the evenings to afternoon, so while people are at work and you can't attend. Also to be discussed at the meeting will be the collection development policy and implementation, which is the process by which young adult books are reviewed and possibly moved to the adult section. The policy states written material containing explicit descriptions of sexual conduct, including masturbation, vaginal sex, oral sex, anal sex. If they could put all that on WTHR, does it matter if it's in a book? I'm just saying. Will not be on shelves in the juvenile or youth middle school or high school sections. As of August 17th, the vetting of 11,000 books was about 37% done. Guys, the board, stop trying to hide things from kids. And you already passed the law that you're going to criminalize and turn teachers and libraries into felons. All of this to do what? To keep kids from reading the hard copy, and as soon as they see what the banned book is, they go to Amazon or to the other libraries and rent it on their e-readers. Stop it. Wouldn't you want the kids to be able to ask a librarian who is qualified to educate people about what these books mean and what they stand for and answer any real questions versus them being at home alone because mom's got to work 2 jobs, right? They got to work 2 jobs, or pop's got to work 2 jobs to keep a roof over their head because of inflation and a whole bunch of other things. They're going to try to discern all this stuff for themselves or go on the internet and watch and have trolls teach these kids. You guys got this wrong. People go to school for a reason, to be librarians and to be teachers. They do these things on purpose. And the fact that you guys are doing everything you can to make it difficult for kids to learn and see the world and understand what's going on around them, because they're going to experience these things anyway. I mean, my God, did you forget what it was like to be a teenager? Did you come to this planet at 40 years old? Oh my God. Or were you just so sheltered that you want everyone to live and exist in the same singular view bubble that you were in? Guys, we've got to do better than this. If you can, run for school board, get elected to your election board, to your library boards. Get involved at every level, because we want an educated society that has a wider worldview than some narrow-minded BS that these people in their little bitty world are trying to spew on people. There are too many stories of kids living in Indiana and never wanting to come back. I mean, it's real. They do not want to come back to Indiana because that's quality of life issues right there. If my kids can't read books or the books. And oh, one last thing on this rant, and I promise I'm going to leave it alone. How dare you tell me what my kids should read? You pick out what you want for your kid or don't want for your kid. But why should you limit my kid and the library as a place that they can go and get free books? Shame on you. Now you're infringing on my parental rights. That's why I don't have no kids, y'all. But if I was a parent, I would be at all those meetings in everybody's business. All right, that's my rant. I'm sorry I got a little choked up today, but I got some water now. I'm ready to go. And now it's time to hear from our sponsor, and I'm so excited to have her. She's one of the best district chairs up in District 3. Her and her husband, Thomas Bohm, they have their business, Bohm's Unique Boutique. Today's show is brought to you by Bohm's Unique Boutique. Click on the QR code. And for all Turn Left listeners, you can get a discount on your order by using the code Democrat. Be sure to visit www.bohmsuniqueboutique.com. All right. Bohm's Unique Boutique. I love them because they're doing everything they can. They can create all kind of cool stuff for you. You can, if you are looking to have some, to incentivize some donations and give away some swag for donating, reach out to them. They're doing good stuff. And then if you need digital content, obviously today is not the perfect day to show my skill set because ain't nothing working. But if you need digital content and you're running a small budget campaign, reach out to me. I can help you create your video. I can help you create some digital content to get your message out, whether it's a 30, 60, or 90-second video, second video to put on social media. Hit me up, scan the QR code, or hit me up at www.blackpearlits.com, and I will share all the goods with you, and we can create some digital content. All right. Whew, finally, I'm going to get to my guest, but I got to fix you because that's not going to work. There we go. There we go. I'm excited about having my guests in here today because you know what? As women, we continue to listen to people tell us what we need to be doing with our bodies, how we need to live and exist in the world, but we don't make up enough of the elected officials. And that is somewhat suspect to me, and I find that problematic. So today I've got two amazing women who are running for office. First up, I have Sara Draper, who's running for Carmel City Council at large. Sara, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dana. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And next we have Blythe Potter, who is running for Bargersville Council at large. Blythe, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so glad you guys can make it. I apologize for all the technical difficulties, but you know what? We're going to do an hour show one way or another. And that's the beautiful part, is that we can edit and make things beautiful. So how are you guys doing? I hope you guys haven't had as rough a week as I've had.
It's just hot. It's too hot to knock doors, which makes me sad.
And I like the heat, but this is a special kind of heat. But you know what? People act like climate change ain't real.
Yeah.
They act like the climate change is not real. What say y'all on climate change?
It's happening. We're all feeling it. We're all seeing it. It's happening.
I got to ask, Sara, you're up there in Hamilton County. Now, how are you taking, I know this is Hamilton Southeastern, which is over in Fishers. It's not in Carmel, but it is in Hamilton County. How are you feeling about these library boards moving and removing books, especially young adult books, to help young people understand and see themselves in writing?
I think it's ridiculous, and I hate what's happening in Fishers. But it's a lesson to us in Carmel and indeed everywhere else in the state that if you don't pay attention to your local officials, whether they're appointed to boards or elected, these things can happen very quickly. Absolutely.
Are you guys seeing anything like that down in Bargersville?
No, not right now, but who knows what'll happen.
Oh, please, let's not give them any ideas. Don't give them any ideas. All right, Sara, I'm going to start with you. Tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Well, as soon as I opened my mouth, I wasn't born a Hoosier.
No.
Shocker, shocker. I'm from the UK originally, and we moved to Indiana in January 2000 because of my husband's job. So for the first 8 years I was here, I was what's called so nicely a trailing spouse, which meant I couldn't work, I couldn't get a social security number, I couldn't even get a Kohl's credit card.
Oh my.
And then it took another 5 years to become a citizen. So for 13 years, I was completely disenfranchised from the election process, which was just a little bit frustrating.
I bet it was.
Yeah, it really was, because I've always been interested in politics. In fact, my political awakening was in 1979 when I was 8, because I'm old, and Margaret Thatcher was elected as Prime Minister of England. And it was at once the best day ever and the worst day ever, because I was so excited that a woman could be Prime Minister, but not that woman.
Not that one. Right. I know that feeling.
So it was just really hard to sit on the sidelines. And once we got citizenship in 2013, I began to get involved. And I have a 22-year-old daughter who is going to be a senior in college and is gay. And last summer we had a decision to make. We either leave the state or we stay and fight. And I show my daughter that we stand up for what we believe in. So here I am.
I love it. I love it. So you said it was 1978 when you began to have your political awakening. What spurred your civic engagement? Was it just being anti-Margaret Thatcher, or was there something else that sparked your interest in being involved in politics? I know here it's different, but
I don't really know. I mean, I grew up with my dad constantly telling me that I should leave my corner of the world better than I found it.
Oh.
So I heard that from an early age. And I don't know. I've just been a politics nerd since I was very small. I read the newspaper. I watched the news. I was probably quite boring as a child, really.
Never.
So it's always been there. It's always been an interest. Then when I was at Oxford, I got involved in student politics. I was involved. We have a national union of students in the UK, and I was involved in that. And then I got here and it all ground to a halt.
Yeah, I got it. And so when you got here, did you find our politics strange?
Yes. Because, of course, we arrived in January 2000 and there was the whole kind of...
the recount.
The recount.
The hanging chads.
The hanging chads. So that was kind of a really strange kind of introduction to it. It's fair to say you don't get much education in the UK about American politics or history because, I guess maybe because you threw us out, we don't want to acknowledge that. I don't know. But it's really strange. But one of the things I really appreciate is there are many more layers of representation than there are in the UK.
Okay, I like that. But you guys have like more parties though, right? Like we are just a two-party system with some others sprinkled in. Don't you guys have you're a citizen now, so don't they have like this like multi-party system thing going over there?
It's not. We have two main parties and one kind of third party that's almost the same. And then a few kind of regional parties in Wales and Scotland. But it's not like places on mainland Europe like France and Italy where they have a bazillion parties. But certainly more than here.
Yeah. All right, Blythe, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Hi, I'm Blythe Potter. I live in Bargersville. I lived here for about 5 years. I kind of grew up here. My parents were divorced when I was young. So my dad moved here to Center Grove. My mom is still in Franklin Township, southeast side of Indianapolis. And I'm almost the exact opposite of Sara. I could have cared less about politics the bulk of my life. I was raised in a Republican area, Republican family. I'm prior military. So of course, that kind of goes along with the right wing. But I was never, I never considered myself extreme either way. My senior year of high school, I ran for class president as a third party, the Green Party.
Okay.
And I've always been a fan of the environment and the outdoors. We almost won, by the way, which was interesting. Now looking back, it's interesting as an adult to have that perspective.
Okay.
And I never wanted kids. I never wanted stepkids. And now I have two stepdaughters who are both teenagers, 17 and 19. And now I also have a 3-year-old, which was very unexpected COVID baby.
Y'all were just, making good use of the time. That's all.
Yeah, I guess so. And it's just kind of come to this point, you know, as a female, I also own a small business with all female employees by accident, not by design, with 3 girls, and just the way that things have come crashing down for women. And, you know, I'm fortunate. I'm a white middle-class female, so it's not as bad, but you know, I see the writing on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the women's groups I'm in down here in Johnson County, the Democratic Party chair posted that there's some spots open for public office. And I'd kind of thought about running for town council locally. I literally could walk to the town hall within 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 3 open seats, and I just decided to go for it. I'm kind of like Sara. I want to stay and fight, where my husband and I are kind of on this 10-year timeline. If things don't get better, I think we have to leave. I can't raise my daughter in this environment. Not Republican environment specifically, but very aggressive and very mean and uninclusive, exclusive. I don't like that.
Yeah.
So
I get that. I get
doing
that.
as much as I can and learning as I go. I have no idea what I'm getting into for the most part. But it's been an interesting ride so far. So we'll see what happens.
Well, one of the things I noticed about you instantly when you sent, I saw your picture and I saw that you were running. I was like, oh, she different. She ain't like,
I'm different.
She ain't like everybody else. And I know what that's like. I know to walk in that space as a woman and they go, oh, she's different. I mean, you're like tatted. You show your tats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What is your personality like?
I mean, I'm actually quite boring. I'm a homebody. My
Y'all
idea of a
killing
good
me with this
time
boring
is,
stuff. Y'all not boring.
oh, I love to be at home. My work is my social life. So I'm on a lot with employees and clients, which I love. But I'm also 41 and I've done a lot of the things. I've ticked off a bunch of things I've ever thought I may or may not want to do and done anyway. The tattoos, most of them are very new, and kind of a result of postpartum anxiety, really. I was very, very afraid I was going to lose my daughter after I had her. No, she was healthy, perfectly healthy, but just this interesting headspace with a pandemic and a baby. So these are all like mostly for her and my family. Yeah, I'm a family person, even though I'm quite literally the black sheep of my family.
Hey, I'm the black sheep too. So, that's a good thing. We're going to turn black into a positive here.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this, because if it's too sensitive, you don't have to go there. But, one of the things that we see in Indiana is that maternal mortality rates are extremely high. Obviously, they're obviously disproportionately high among women of color. But I want to talk to you about that because, we don't understand, like if you've never been pregnant and you've never given birth, you don't understand what that is. Talk to us about what that, because you're excited about having a baby and the baby gets here and the baby's healthy. Talk to us about what that process is of understanding what you're going through and how you got to the other side.
I rarely know how I get to the other side of most things.
Okay.
And I wasn't actually very excited to find out I was pregnant.
Okay.
We weren't planning it. I had just opened my business. I was finishing grad school. We had just moved, and my stepdaughters, who they were my entire world. I was not in the headspace for that, and I wasn't planning for that. But my husband was like, "No, this is a blessing. We should do this." And I was like, "Okay,
all right,
we're gonna do this." And it's really the coolest thing I've ever done. But I will say I was very happy without having a baby. And I'm also very happy with having a baby. And as females, we are creators, whether it be of life or jobs and things like that. I think it's in our nature to mother, whether we're mothering the earth or our friends or our family or our babies. So you may not have been pregnant and had a child, but I know deep down your nervous system knows what it is to love like that. I mean, what you're doing right now, you're nurturing and trying to grow this this platform and this idea of inclusivity. So, and the maternal mortality rate was terrifying pre-pandemic. Once January hit, I was only a month. Yeah, it was like 4 to 6 weeks pregnant. And, I saw the writing on the wall there too. My first ultrasound, the day before, I was told no one could come with me. Like, this is my one and done baby. My stepdaughters were going to be there. My husband was going to be there. And I was like, crap, like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
So I decided I was going to do a midwife. I was going to do a home birth, right? My kids could be there. My husband can be there. That went down the drain. 56 hours of labor. I ended up at IU Methodist. I still had a midwife, but I mean, episiotomy and epidural, all the things I said I wouldn't do.
Right.
I had. So luckily, she was very healthy and we got to take her home pretty soon. But I don't know how I came out on the other side of that. And I don't know how women do that without the support I had. I don't know how women of color do it without support because politics, we don't generally, the state of Indiana doesn't generally care about females.
No.
Or raising healthy, financially stable children. And in that, I'm very lucky. I'm lucky to be able to do what I'm doing and have a healthy family and have support. So
love it.
I don't know how I came out the other side of it. We just do. But with women, we just do. We just do.
That is an amazing story. Sarah, did you want to speak to that at all? Because I mean, this is a space for it, right?
Well, it's interesting because I'm an adoptive mom, and I've been a foster parent as well for 4 years. So while I don't have the biological experience, what Blythe said about us being creators and nurturers, I mean, really speaks to me. When you have a foster child come into your home and you've never met them before and somebody drops them off at the door, there's something that is kind of, I can only speak for me, something was kind of awoken in me. The minute I walked in that door, they were my kids, right?
Right.
They were going to be loved. And in fact, one kid we had 7 years ago, and she only lived with us for 6 weeks. And we just went to her graduation. She just got her GED. Okay. And she's enrolled at Ivy Tech. So, I'm still in their lives. They're still my kids. Right. So the experience of motherhood and nurturing is just so different for all of us. I felt very strongly when my daughter was born. We got her from the hospital at 2 days old, so she was brand new. The difference then, because you'd go to like baby classes and everybody would be talking about their labor and their experience, and I had nothing to offer. I mean, they all said, "Oh, you look great for just having had a baby." I was like, "Oh, right." So I think the only universal about motherhood is that it's different for all of us. Yeah. I don't know what you think, Blythe.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, though, when we think about us in politics and running for office, and you say we're creators and nurturers, it seems like we should be the natural community leaders and elected officials, but as women, we still are woefully underrepresented in our government. How do we as women come together and do better about that? Like holding each other accountable, lifting each other up. How do we be better for each other and convince each other this is the best thing for us, because we are nurturers and we are creators and we are builders, to run for office and seek that space to nurture communities?
Lead by example. I mean, women are we tend to be bullies, and like bio moms are bullies to stepmoms, and I'm sure Sarah, you've had the same situation. Like, that is your child. It doesn't have to come from your body to like we just need to stop bullying one another, and we can disagree. We don't even have to agree to disagree, but we can disagree and we can still support one another, regardless of political party, regardless of what are, working or not working. Like, it's just a terrible thing. You get bullied for not having kids. You get bullied for having kids too young. You get bullied for having kids too old. I was 38 when I had my daughter. You get bullied for just being a stepmom or adopting or whatever. In vitro. Like, it is just insane how we've all been put into these little boxes, and we need to break down those walls of boxes, whether it means by standing our ground, being a stay-at-home parent, whether it means standing our ground, being a childless woman by choice or not. Right. We just need to suck it up, get over the nonsense we've been told about in Cosmo magazine and politics and on television and all this garbage, and just put it behind us and start new. This imaginary reset button can be in front of all of us, we can all push it, and we can just start over and just start working together, because it's not looking good for women.
No,
I don't care what side of the aisle you on. I wouldn't vote for Suzanne Crouch, but I
not
mean, even
at
her,
all.
she's putting herself out there.
Yeah, she is. She is. You know, Sarah. Before I comment, I'm gonna let Sarah go ahead and just how do we be better?
I think Blythe's absolutely right. It's by more of us standing up and not trying to beat the men at their own game, but being authentically who we are, just being honest and treating people well, learning to disagree agreeably rather than getting mean and nasty about it. And I think if we can persuade women to step up and do that,
Yeah.
you know, it starts to build. It's like running for city council, right? If we ever want to take the legislature back or the congressional seats back, we need to start at the council level and build up. It's exactly, the women just need to start at the bottom and just show that we are strong, compassionate, caring leaders who can at the same time make the tough decisions and stand up for what may be unpopular and be courageous.
I love it. I love it. Something else that you both mentioned, and it was, you know, the state of our state, right? And whether do you stay and fight or do you leave? One of the things that I've always been frustrated with is, like, people are always told me, Dana, with all the degrees you have, you can go on the coast and make, you know, gobs of money, right? But my philosophy has always been, if all the smart people leave, then what happens to those who can't fight for themselves? I know, Sarah, you mentioned fighting, staying and fighting, but what does fighting look like? Sarah?
Well, I think it looks like raising your head above the parapet, like Blythe and I have done, and saying we're going to run for office. We're going to put ourselves unapologetically out there and show what we believe in. Fighting for a place at the table.
Yep.
If we have a place at the table, we can make change. But if women aren't prepared to stand up and ask, well, not ask, demand the seat at the table, it's never going to happen.
Honey, because I don't need permission to serve my community.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Blythe, what does fighting look like to you?
Just like Sarah said, using our voices for good. And it is so hard to do, I think, especially as women, because we're supposed to be not like, who's your hospitality? Ugh, it's the worst thing on the planet for women. Like, you can be nice, but also stand your ground.
Right. Right.
It's sharing unpopular opinions, even if it's for the better good. Running for office, regardless of what your history looks like. Like, I've been divorced. There are plenty of things I was like, that have held me back in the past from doing things because I don't want it to be out there, because I don't want to be shamed. And I think we just have to suck it up and do it sometimes. And I hate to say that, because no woman should ever have to, no human should have to do that, regardless of gender. We should never have to just suck it up. But sometimes you just have to pretend to be brave and go for it.
Yeah,
and risk it.
You're right, because, you know, if I don't do it, then who? Right. And that is like the thing that I say. Well, if I half the time I don't know what I'm doing. I just, like literally, Blythe, when you said I don't know what I'm doing, like literally I built a studio, but I don't really know what I'm doing.
But you're making it work.
Hey, you do the best you can with what you have, and you just try to, like you said, make your corner of the world better when you leave it than the way you found it. Y'all, this is so far so good. Indiana's own Dana Black, turn left. I am talking to Sara Draper, who is running for city council in Carmel, and I'm talking to Blythe Potter, who is running for town council in Bargersville. Where is Bargersville?
It's interesting you say that, because I would have said the same thing. Even though my dad lived here growing up, like my business partner said when I decided I needed to go out on my own, I was like, hey, let's do this together. And she's like, I'm not leaving Bargersville. And my first words was, well, there was an expletive, but I was like, are you kidding me? Like, why? Well, it's one of the fastest growing cities in the state, top 3.
Oh.
Center Grove is one of the public school options here, which is very, very good academically. They've got a great swim team, football team, show choir. So it's really up and coming. It's basically farmland that's being turned into a lot of residential and hopefully some good commercial stuff to help with the tax stuff. But we're south of Greenwood, next to Franklin. We have access to just about everything now that 69 is down here. So I'm in a unique spot. both with a business and in the politics, because we're really on the ground floor of things. So I'm cautiously optimistic that I have the opportunity to make some really good changes.
Yeah, that's in Johnson County, right?
Yeah, Johnson
Okay.
County.
See, you got a Hamilton County, a Marion County, and a Johnson County. Right in a row. We right there. North, middle, and south. All right.
We're the middle of the donut.
Yeah. I love it. I love my donut counties. All right, guys, let's talk about what's going on in your towns that made you say, I'm going to run for city council. I'm going to run for town council. Sara, what's going on in Carmel?
Well, one of the things that not many people know is that in the November midterms last year, 49.5% of the votes in Carmel were cast for Democrats.
Ooh.
So Carmel is no longer red. It is undeniably purple and very, very competitive.
Yes.
And we currently have a supermajority. And we all learned last year that supermajorities are no good.
Right.
So we only have one Democrat on the council right now, Miles Nelson, who's running for mayor. And I don't believe in supermajorities. I don't believe that's democracy. In 2019, there were 4 Democrats on the ballot as district candidates in Carmel. This year, we have 8 candidates, 1 mayoral, 2 at large, and 5 districts.
Oh, I love it.
And I decided to step up because, there's 3 main reasons. One is I know I've got the advocacy skills and I care, and I am not afraid to make unpopular decisions. I'm a guardian ad litem, and in court advocating for abused and neglected children, I'm often unpopular with most of the people in the room. So I'm used to that. The second is that our council is not very diverse. And we certainly need more female voices on the council. And going along with that, Carmel is now 13% foreign born.
Oh.
And we have 9 councillors. So if we're going to have a reflective council, it's time somebody who was born elsewhere got a chance to serve and represent those 13% of the city. And when I knock on the doors of immigrants, they are unbelievably excited to, number one, have a Democrat on their ballot, likely for the first time ever. But number 2, that I'm an immigrant and I can understand their experience and raise their voices.
I love that. Those are really unique. See, those are unique things I didn't even know about. I mean, now mind you, I went to North Central High School, so you know about the rivalry, and so whenever the cat sees the greyhound, we ain't too happy. But no, I'm teasing. Those little, that's what we do in Indiana. We talk about our high schools. But right. I didn't know that it was a 13% immigrant population, which begs. We know that Carmel and Hamilton County are growing leaps and bounds, and we have people like our Attorney General trying to do everything they can to stifle immigration. What are we saying to your community? What are you hearing when you're knocking on specifically immigrant doors?
A lot of them feel excluded. They feel like democracy isn't for them here. They've come here, they've got citizenship, but they don't understand it. They don't feel that necessarily they're welcome. And then they see me at their door.
Right.
And I feel like, I don't know if it sounds arrogant, but like going back to the beginning of the 20th century when you had Irish people and Italian people immigrating here, and then, starting to make their way into elected positions and being the trailblazers. I feel a bit like that. Okay. I almost feel it was a responsibility for me to step up and show that we can do this and that it is for you and that the American dream is still possible.
I love it. What's going on in Bargersville? What's happening down there?
So much. We're really a blank slate. There's a lot of infrastructure. It needs to be better. We need more. We've got a lot of potential commercial businesses coming in. We have a ton of residential coming in, homes, duplexes. There's an apartment that everyone's up in arms about on the slate. And I'm pretty sure in addition to some of these new commercial buildings that are coming in, they're going to need to have a new water treatment plant, and they'll likely try to annex some other areas. It's just a very unique situation. I am not an immigrant, but I think something we forget a lot we white people is that none of us are literally from here.
Hello.
We are transplants. I am Irish and German, and we are totally forgetting that. Like, our lineage is not native to America. So this like don't come in thing is just, it's garbage to me. And it's unfair and it's not nice. And we have a growing immigrant population in Bargersville. It's very small, but I do think it's going to get larger. We have Cummins in Columbus, so a lot of people are living here but commuting there. You know, and I think I have the ability to be objective and step back and say, hey, we need these people, but let's do this sustainably. Like, okay, fine, let's build an apartment complex, but can we not put a bunch of grass out front and a bunch of blacktop? Can we do some maybe native perennials or renewable energy? We have 500 to over $1 million homes being built regularly down here with a bunch of grass, no solar, no renewable energy. And it's just, it's kind of mind blowing that as progressive as it seems to be down here, that we're progressive, but it's still very right.
I'm actually surprised to hear you say anything in Johnson County is progressive. I'm actually surprised to hear you say that.
There is a very, very large amount of us that are Democrats in Johnson County, and saying Democrat out loud was freaking terrifying for the longest time. But knocking on doors, we exist. A lot of the older population are very liberal. My husband and I were the first home in Bargersville to have solar power. So we actually helped initiate that ability down here, which is unique because I know solar isn't the answer. I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but it is an option and it is possible and it is more accessible.
I don't understand why it's not the end all be all. I remember having a freaking Texas Instrument calculator back in the 70s that ran off of solar power. And if I go get it right now, it still works. It still works. I mean,
yeah, you're right.
It's scalable. See, people, you're not going to tell me that it's not. Like, literally, Casio, you got a Casio calculator. It was a solar calculator, and it works. It still works 30, 40 years later. So I'm not saying it's not. Only way that it couldn't be is if we do something to block out the sun, because these fools is really trying.
They are, and, you know, I think resourcing the things that we need for solar could be better. I don't have the answers to that. But I think just I do identify as a blue dog Democrat. I do see both sides. There's a reason that purple is my campaign color, because I think we can logically have our gun rights without being crazy with assault rifles. Like, I think we can find a middle ground with abortion, allow it to be legal, but, you know, maybe not just willy-nilly at 8 months pregnant for no reason, like, which I don't even think happens.
It doesn't. That's just some dumb stuff they make up. That's just to put it out there for people who don't know any better, because we don't educate them.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Happen. So, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
But yeah, there is a growing population of middle of the aisle and left leaning people in Johnson County.
Yeah.
I'm not alone, and even if I don't win, the support I've had just in the last few months has been amazing. I've only had one person scream and yell at me to get off their lawn for being a Democrat.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty darn good, because I've knocked on over 1,000 doors so far.
Hey,
so it's pretty good.
I mean, when you consider I had the police called on me back in 2016 when I was up in McCordsville. Yeah. Oh, y'all, come on. Yeah,
it probably wouldn't have happened if you were white, though.
It probably not. No. But you know what? I knew it could happen. So when the police showed up, I was like, "Yo, where do you live? You want to vote for me?" You turn it into a campaign pitch. I mean, humans are gonna human. There's nothing you can do about it. As long as you are prepared for the obstacles, you can figure out how to navigate them. Right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
All right, so when you think about what's happening on your town council and your city council, you guys are the fiduciary people. You guys take care of the budgets. You guys make sure that there's money allocated for the different things that the town or the city needs. Sara, what are some of the things that you hope to see come across in those council meetings that need to be funded properly?
I think one of the things we need to do in Carmel is differentiate between investment and spending.
Oh.
A roundabout is infrastructure investment. Roundabout are not so much. And I think we've been getting the balance wrong.
Okay.
Firstly, we need to prioritize climate change mitigation at the heart of everything and make sure that we're including the cost of that in our budgets, because nobody can thrive in an unhealthy environment.
Right.
So that's very, very important. Public safety needs to be funded adequately. Carmel is it is the safest city in Indiana and one of the safest cities in the country, but we need to keep it that way. And in fact, I am the first Democrat ever to be endorsed by the FOP in Carmel.
Okay.
So that was an exciting thing a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, that's huge.
Right. I thought the email was a joke to start with. I was confidently expecting to get one saying they made a mistake, they counted wrong or something. But no, it was real. So I'm very proud to have that. So public safety is important. Although we don't fund education, it's very important that we support education in any way we can.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. What about you down in Bargersville?
Mostly the same things. Our cops cannot afford to live in Bargersville. That's how little they're paid. And it drives me crazy because we do have a safe community. We have an amazing police force. Although Democrats are still very uncommon in town council. So I would never get an endorsement from the police right now because they might fear retaliation. And I've actually been told that. So we need better funding for the police. I think we don't do school budget because we're not the school board, and I don't know if you know anything about Southsiders, but Southsiders like to hide and hoard money. Everyone's got money hidden somewhere in their house, and the town council and even Johnson County are no different. There's plenty of money in case of an emergency. It's really just putting those funds to good use, making things more accessible. We have great parks, but most people can't walk to them without going on a busy interstate. And that's stupid.
Yeah,
We've
I
got
agree.
a lot of sidewalks downtown. Most of them are covered with dirt and grass because they've been so poorly maintained. And we do, unfortunately, even with the cost of living going up, before that, we have a lot of people in poverty down here. We have a lot of people who can't afford to have cars. And so if you can make it accessible for them to walk or ride a bike, whether it be someone my age or children or the elderly population. We have a very large amount of people in Bargersville who were born and raised here, that they may not be able to drive now, but they also can't safely walk to the town hall because there's not a sidewalk to get there because it's all crumbled and just, I mean, it's just, just appropriately putting funds to good use that will long-term benefit everybody. I think people post-COVID are more active physically outside. I think parents are being more active with their children. And I am like a lot of those people. I am a transplant. I have a young child. I want to be able to access these things. So we have a multi-million-dollar park that we just put in, which is fantastic, but most people can't safely get there on foot or bike.
That doesn't even make any sense. So
it doesn't. And it's, they have a lot of great ideas. Our 2040 plan is fantastic, but there are little bits and pieces that have been neglected because the people who are using those, their voices haven't had that input to say, here, this is where the money should go. Let's add a trailer or a sidewalk. Let's connect these two sidewalks. So that's really, from my perspective, the biggest thing. And there is a man his name's Bill Collins. He ran for school board recently, and he's Republican. He's very conservative, but he's actually been very supportive of me because he also sees there's a need for social services.
Okay,
we have a lot of people in poverty down here.
And
they need support and they need access to things. So there is a need.
And see, that's why I find, our lieutenant governor's plan to eliminate income tax so problematic, because there are things that the government needs to take care of that will never be profitable. And taking care of your fellow man or taking care of someone who can't adequately take care of themselves is one of those things. And it's one of those things where we create a better society when we are, supporting each other and lifting each other up. And the idea that, people act like they just did everything on their own. I did it all by myself. No, you didn't. Nobody accomplishes anything by themselves except for being lonely.
Yep. Yeah, you're exactly right. And Suzanne isn't including in that a cut for her pay to help fund some of the things that need funded.
No.
These politicians who make these loot rules, they're sitting pretty. They can afford private schools. If I did it right, I could afford a private school. I don't want to, but I also don't want to send my kid to a school that has to do active shooter drills regularly. That scares the crap out of me. So
that part. I mean,
public education is so underfunded across the country, but definitely in the state of Indiana. So income taxes, that's just stupid. So we can't get rid of that.
So Sarah, you have been endorsed by the FOP, and our state just passed the no permit carry. And, people just can willy-nilly go get what they want, carry it where they want, without background checks, without the nine. What are your law enforcement friends telling you up there in Carmel? Because they can do it in Carmel. Because listen, I know a lot of people be thinking like, oh, Indianapolis is so bad. Oh my God. Well, that's because you can just go get a free gun anywhere, or you can get, pay $500, you can get a gun. And guess what? Crime does travel. 96th Street does not have a wall.
However hard some people may want one.
Yeah, right. Well, no, they don't. No, they don't, because they want people to come up there and cook and clean for them. Because I can tell you, they didn't already I was at a Fishers meeting a few years back, and the mayor talked about how the community wanted more diversity in food and different types of ethnic foods. But you don't want people to live there. So you just want people to come up there and cook and clean for you. That's some old... I'm not going to say it. That's some old mess. But
white privilege.
I wasn't going to say it.
I'll say it. I benefit from it. I understand that. Have I always known that? No, but I understand that.
Yeah. So what are your guys saying? I mean, we want active shooter drills are a thing. We had tornado drills. They have active shooter drills. What are your police officer friends saying about the willy-nilly with the guns?
Well, they're saying that the reality is that anybody who wanted a gun could always get one anyway.
Okay.
The issue is just you don't know who has one.
Ah.
The ones I've talked to just say, it doesn't make anybody more likely to get a gun who shouldn't have one. You just don't know who they are.
That makes
terrifying.
It's terrifying because, I mean, especially for someone like me, I fit the description. I could have a cell phone, and they already trigger, again, the black skin is the scariest thing on earth, and you really can't tell if I'm a female or a male because of the way I present. I fit the description, and I think about that all the time. Like now, I've never owned a gun, never wanted to own a gun, but because they don't know that, the likelihood of me now, if I get pulled over for speeding, which I am prone to do, if I get pulled over, there's no telling what could happen to me, because they do not know whether or not I am armed. And it's crazy that we are not protecting our kids. But I'll be honest, I knew after Sandy Hook, they weren't finna do nothing. Like guns, little white kids in suburbia got shot up and they didn't do anything. I was like, we done. We done having this conversation about gun rights and gun control and sensible gun legislation. It's not finna happen. It's not finna happen.
It's interesting to me, because in 1996 in the UK, obviously people in the UK don't have guns largely. And in 1996, we had a school shooting in Scotland. And immediately the government acted to restrict access to guns such as it was. And it wasn't like it is here. And guess what? There's not been another school shooting.
Wow.
It can be done.
They did the same thing in Australia. They did the same thing in Australia. They had one school shooting. And I said, we having school shootings and mass shootings every day. And now it's no big deal now. Like there's so many shootings, it is no big deal. And it is in every community. I know people who want to pretend like, well, Chicago this, Chicago that, but where did they getting the guns from? Indiana, right? Like it's everywhere. No community is safe anymore. And I know they want to make it seem like we're the greatest populations are. Of course, you're going to have more crime in places where there are more people. Get out of here. Think this through. Indiana's own Dana Black. I am talking to Sara Draper, who is running for Carmel City Council at large, and Blythe Potter, who is running for Bargersville Town Council at large, right? At large? Yeah. Okay. All right, guys, I think we're coming up on the close to the end of the show here, but I wanted to make sure that you guys give your pitch. Blythe, give your pitch on why you are the best candidate to be on your town council.
I have a different point of view. I represent people who are not already represented on the town council. I have an MBA in conscious capitalism, so I'm all for making money. But I think we can do it in a better way, in a more sustainable way, and same with our growth. A lot of people want to complain about decisions that have been made the last 4 years and prior to that. And if you're complaining about it and still voting the same people in, then that's part of the problem. So I do have a different perspective. And all of that is on my website, blythepotter.com. My platform's on there.
I love it. And tell the people, you said where people can find you. And then do you have any events coming up? Any fundraisers?
I do.
Okay.
This is perfect timing because just yesterday I decided I'm going to do a meet and greet on Saturday, September 16th at the Coffee House 5 in Bargersville during the Harvest Moon Festival from 12 to 2.
I love it. I love it. All right, Sarah, give us your pitch now.
Well, something I have in common with Blythe is that there's nobody quite like me on the city council right now. I also represent a segment of the population that has not yet been represented. I am totally unafraid to be unpopular. I will not be outworked. I have already knocked on over 9,000 doors across Carmel. And I intend to win so that I can use my advocacy skills that I've learned over the last 12 years in the court system to represent the people of Carmel as they should be represented, with transparency, with accessibility, with integrity, and with intelligence, and even sometimes a little bit of humor.
I love it. I love it. And so tell the people where they can find you.
My website is draperforallcarmel.com, and it's Draper for All Carmel on all the socials.
I love it. And do you have any events coming up?
I'm going to be having an all-you-can-eat spaghetti dinner on September the 21st from 5:30 to 7:30 at the government building at 106th and College in Carmel, and it's going to be $15 for all you can eat.
All right. Now I got to tell y'all a quick story. The first time I met Sarah, as soon as she started talking, I was like, oh, we got us a good one, because there's a lot of people you meet and they don't just come with confidence. And she's not like the tallest of females. She's not like, but her personality is tall. So I want to say you were about 5'4", 5'3", something like that.
5'1.5", Dana.
5'1.5". Okay.
I probably have heels on.
But your personality is 6'1.5". And I have never forgotten you, even though it was the one time and I was like, yo, I'm recruiting this woman. She's running for office. I'm gonna keep pouring into her that this is the right thing to do. And here you are. I'm so proud of you, and I'm excited about what you're about to do. Blythe, I hope that you and I can break bread sometime soon, because
yes!
I want to hear more of your stories. I mean, you got like that, just that wild child, and I feel like it's in you, and I feel like you it is and we need that. I mean, that's the thing. Yep. Like, people have this idea that politicians are this thing, and politicians are humans. Yep. They come in all shapes, sizes, colors, and textures, and if we are not open to receive just anyone and everyone, that we are not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And I am so proud of you ladies. Now, I am going to suggest y'all both do one other thing. If you have not applied for Who's Moving Forward, once the campaign is over, the window for open up for applications is usually in May. So May of 2024, I want both of you to commit to it and sign up for Who's Moving Forward, so that we can continue to build this network of amazing women, and we can also pour some different skills into you, just to add to the repertoire of things that you have already to offer. I am really excited about you two, and thank you for suffering through all of my stuff today. Eventually my voice came back. You know how I go. But
You are human. You're showing it. You're human.
I'm human.
It's normal.
It is. And that's actually, you know, I remember when I first started the show, like I would straight up panic and flip out when things weren't going well. And because I wanted everything to be, you know, TV perfect. Girl, you in your condo. You know, just remember what you're doing this for, you know. So thank you for your patience and all of that. All right, don't hang up yet. Guys, listen, you know, Sara talked about how she is a foster parent and she's an adoptive parent. But unfortunately, you know, the homelessness amongst our Indiana youth is very, very, very high. And amongst our LGBTQ plus youth is exceedingly overly represented. Kids are being tossed out of their homes because they identify as gay or trans or lesbian, and couple that with other issues, no telling what they've been going through. I sit on the board of Trinity Haven. Trinity Haven is our state's only LGBTQ plus residence for youth who are at risk of homelessness and being unsheltered. We have a house where we can house 9 young people for 2 years to help them gain the skills that they need to be independent and have independent living. And we have a second program where we have members of our community, our host homes program, where they have a bedroom and they open up a bedroom to a young person for 6 months or however long they need after they've been vetted and gone through training. But all of these things take money. Right? None of this happens because, you know, the Trinity Church prays it to happen. We need people to donate. So on September 9th, from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Crane Bay Event Center, we are having our 3rd annual Trinity Haven Homecoming Bash. This year, the theme is Broadway. Come on now, you get a bunch of Rainbow Warriors together talking about Broadway. You know it's going to be a good time, right?
I have a question, Dana.
Yes.
When Trinity Haven opened, I looked into the host home program and it was only in Marion County at the time.
Yes.
Is that still the case?
At present, it is, but we are working on some things to change some of our funding source so that we can expand that program, because we recognize we need to get Indianapolis, you know, it's where we started, but we want to expand in different parts of the state, because we also know that some kids are like 17 years old and they don't want to leave high school where they go to high school, but they're also having problems at home, and they want to stay in their community. So we want to broaden it out. But again, if you buy these tickets, it helps us get one step closer to that goal of serving all 92 counties, right? That's the goal, because there are gay kids everywhere. There are trans kids everywhere. And because we have, you know, a Republican Party that has done everything they can to demonize people who are LGBTQ plus, parents are afraid and they don't know what to do. And instead of seeking real truth and understanding, they kick their kids out, demonize their kids, or traumatize their kids, which is even worse. I wish everyone had parents like mine. When I came, granted, I was an adult when I came out. I was 20 years old. But my mother looked at me and she says, I may not understand it. I don't even know if I like it. But you're my baby and I love you. And that's what we really want our parents to do. We just want somebody to love us, to help us, because we don't know. We're just trying to sort it all out. But that's kind of like a second rant. I didn't mean to do that. But September 9th, it's coming up soon, guys. If you're interested in being a sponsor for the Trinity Haven, let me know. I have some package information, but we need all the help we can get to make sure that these young folks have an opportunity to live their best lives. All right. Sara, Blythe, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
I got a full slate. I am booked all the way up until the last Thursday before the election. So guys, tune in every week to hear about these candidates, find out how you can support them. Their donate links will be on the YouTube page so that you can donate to both Sara and Blythe. Make sure that you donate to them. If you like what they're talking about, support them. In the meantime, I'll holler at y'all next week. Peace. Turn Left is the property of Black Pearl IT Solutions. Executive producer, Indiana's own Dana Black. Music by www.bensound.com.